everyone, and a very warm welcome. Thank you for joining us this lunchtime. My name is Daniela, and I'm delighted to introduce this open and practical session where we'll go through an AI topic. So again, welcome to the OXP Exchange, OXP AI Exchange, and it is hosted by Robin. Today we'll be looking at managing AI within organizations. And throughout today's session, how it typically works is Robin will share some real world examples, touch on the theory as well. You're more than welcome to make the session as interactive as possible by popping questions in the chat. Otherwise, we can leave them to the end as well. And essentially, you should take some practical insights and learn how to apply this in your day-to-day roles as well. So Robin will go through with her presentation, and then afterwards, I'm more than happy to talk a little bit more about the colleges and what we offer here at the Oxford College of Marketing, Management and Procurement. But otherwise, feel free, Robin, to take over. Let's get started.
Okay. So there's a lot going on in the AI world. If any of you joined a couple of minutes ago, I was talking about the fact that ChatGPT has just brought in AI agents, the fact that regulation and compliance is changing incredibly quickly. Like I said to Daniela, like mere moments ago, 2 weeks between, and I'm already having to bring you new stuff that was almost a little bit too late as well. And today, what we're kind of talking about is the fact that in reality, AI has entered most aspects of our working life, our personal life. And my mum uses it, my nan uses it to understand the words that I use when I talk about my job to her. And realistically, in essence, what do we do now? From an organizational point of view, from a personal point of view, from a disclosure point of view, from a regulation point of view, what is the actual process of where we move forward with AI use within an organization? And in reality, there's a lot that we need to consider. This webinar today is from a leadership perspective, entrepreneur perspective, a marketing perspective, and individual's perspective, because we all play a part in actually how we mold governance moving forward. This technology has moved so quickly. It has become unregulated in that momentum too. So actually, we need to take a step back. We need to take a breather and recognize what using this technology means, because we've gone through the technology in a couple of the sessions, right? How it works and what it does. But today is all about, now it's entered the chat. Now AI is in the chat with us. What do we do? And what we're going to be focusing on today is the fact that AI is moving incredibly quickly. It is one of the most relevant and exciting developments, not only because it improves our work life, but it also improves our personal life, right? And it is reshaping how we kind of move forward. And how much do we truly recognize our use on the day-to-day? How do we understand how AI has already infiltrated the various teams, workflows, platforms, organizations that we work within or work for? And also what we need to do now moving forward in terms of that, because realistically, regulation and governance is taking a while to catch up with that moving forward. So how much do you truly know about the AI already at work within your business? From either owning your own organization, to being an employee, to being a contractor, to being a vendor. Could you raise your hand, send me an emoji if you think there is, 100% every single AI process that is going on at the moment within your organization? So Liz thinks she's got it. Tanya, not 100%. AI is no longer this like distant future. Can we remember when ChatGPT just became accessible and we asked it what 2 + 2 was, and it was like 5, and we were like, haha, you're not that clever. Things have changed incredibly quickly, and it's woven into many things that we don't even realize. So from automating our routines to influencing strategic decisions, it makes decisions for us, right? And it's quietly been transforming organizations, how we work, marketing, in ways we don't even realize. So this is a true question that I'm going to aim to help you answer by the end of today. And that is, how much do you truly know about the AI already at work around you? And this session is particularly great for people in IT, operations, HR, marketing, anybody who is trying to balance the use of this technology with the responsibility. Yeah, because there's going to be an impact of using this technology. So what we're going to be covering is AI already in your stack? So how do we assess the AI powered tools that we are using, teams are using, including the ones that no one told you about yet? What is shadow AI use? Why are employees turning to AI on their own? And what that means for risk, productivity, and trust? How do we manage this? How do we manage the unknown surrounding this? So how do we create visibility and accountability around AI usage without slowing that innovation, without getting all the glorious good bits about using AI? And also we're going to talk about policy and practice, and also a little bit of a spotlight on security and compliance. So out of everybody that's here today, who already is aware of the issues that, for example, employees are using AI within a workplace? Contractors that you use are using AI within their processes. Is it something that anybody has kind of thought about up until now? This kind of infiltration of this technology that we don't really know how to manage or govern yet. Oh, I just had a private message. Yeah. So there's a lot that we don't know how people actually do the job. GDPR risk, sharing data, security considerations, company. Yes, there's so much that is going on in this space. And if we don't start really trying to unpin it now, as it becomes more and more woven in, more and more accessible, more and more powerful, we're going to struggle to reach those compliance goals or the regulation that we actually have to have when that comes into force. Yeah. So the first thing I want to talk about is AI already in your stack? Is there anyone here that thinks that there's no platform that they use that uses AI? Is there anyone here that thinks they are in an AI-free technological situation? I highly doubt that. So the first thing that is the best way for you to begin to understand if AI is already at the forefront of your organization, at the forefront of your employee workflows, your own internal processes, if you are a freelancer, an agency, a marketer within your own processes, is we need to start by conducting an AI audit. And to do this, it's not just considering your own use of AI, it's whoever you actually encounter. So you need to create this kind of cross-function kind of process. So if you are in an organization or you look after a team within an organization, for example, get your IT, your security, your operations, your HR involved. The first thing I want you to do is inventory all apps and platforms in use across your various teams, the workflows that you work with, your clients, the tools that you log in with, for example, and identify which ones have AI or machine learning capabilities. Now, I've got quite an interesting question for you. How many tools that are on the market at the moment use AI or AI-powered processes, but don't say it? What percentage do you think that is? So they have AI doing something in the background, but they don't use it as a particularly selling point. 75%, 40, 60? It's 35%, which is incredibly high. So even though you may kind of go onto the tool and it's not obvious, AI is making decisions in the background with your data and giving you an output based on that AI process. So many tools don't actually label this clearly. And as we move forward into higher and higher realms of regulation, of expectation, of compliance, we actually really need to know that. Yeah, we need to make sure that the things that we are interacting with, talking to, connecting to, how do we actually know if it's AI or not? And one way you can do that is you simply raise a ticket with your platform or whoever your contact person is and just ask. They will have to tell you then, they will have to disclose. So it's just worthwhile to get that foundational knowledge. And it will be very rare that nothing in your tech stack has AI kind of integration now, anyway. So the next thing that we need to do is who uses like Salesforce or HubSpot, for example, or MailChimp. Yeah, all of these kind of very normal kind of platforms. We need to be up to date with the new AI feature rollouts. Yeah. We need to subscribe to our product update feeds or change logs from our major software, Google, Microsoft, Salesforce, Notion, for example. And we need to make sure we're working with our platforms and asking them to flag us any new AI-enabled features as part of software lifecycle kind of management. And the reason is because these updates can happen, and then that can impact how you have to then change your AI policy internally. It can change how you have to deal with GDPR. It could mean that you have to integrate a layer of training to your team so they actually understand what that means for them internally and also yourself. Staying up to date in this way means you know that you need to check in with what's kind of going on at this point. And if you're not doing this, you can miss huge changes, which will impact how your data is used. It will impact if you can use your data. What is the people who are giving you that data consented to? Have they consented to this? So we need to just make sure that we know what's on the horizon realistically for this kind of software. And the big thing that people are failing to do at the moment is to implement an AI usage policy. What is acceptable use of AI for your organization? What is restricted? What are you comfortable doing as an entrepreneur, a freelancer, a kind of outsourced vendor? What are your guidelines on how this is used? Offer the guidelines to those in your team, your clients, and let them know. And we should be able to have an open dialogue. So much about AI has become black box. Are we using it? Should we be ashamed to use it? Are we allowed to use it? Is what I'm doing acceptable? Is the data I'm putting in allowed? There's so many questions that we need to take the lid off everything. Yeah. There is so much misunderstanding about this technology that organizations are failing, really failing to harness it because of this fear, this misunderstanding, this mismatch of it all. And also what I want you to do is clarify who is accountable for assessing risk. For those in an organization, do you know who you need to talk to at the moment to discuss AI use within your organization? You can give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, I don't mind. But like it's very rare to me that when I'm having these conversations at the moment that people truly know who they need to kind of connect with realistically. So that's what I want you to do. I want you to really understand on and kind of begin the process of implementing that AI usage policy. And also use digital tool monitoring solutions. Now, a lot of organizations already have these. So endpoint monitoring, SaaS management tools, and we're just looking at kind of flagging things like new app usage and things like that. And AI-specific governance platforms are emerging to help track models and usage across organizations, workflows, platforms. And also, if I asked you right now, today, how many AI tools have you kind of interacted with? How many would that be? Like for me, it's probably my calendar, ChatGPT, I used a little bit of Canva, like that kind of thing. So I would say probably 5. But realistically, if I actually looked into it a little bit deeper, there's probably other things that are AI powered that I have interacted with today without even realizing it. And this is the issue. We have become so used to this technology that we're not really managing it in a way that is forward compliant. So Liz has done 8. Someone else sent me a message. They've like 13. Wowzers! I'd love to know what your tech stack was doing this morning. But like this mistransparency around the fact that we're using this technology, it is everywhere, but we still don't have things like an AI usage policy, or if we can or shouldn't be doing this. And that leads me on to the next kind of problem that we have with this, right? And it is something called shadow AI use. Now, this is where, and we will all have done this is like a very normal thing. And this is where the unsanctioned or unofficial use of AI by yourself, by your employees, by your clients happens with no true knowledge or formal approval. And that may sound like very kind of like big brothery, but what I'm saying is that it's this kind of, we just accept that it is part of our day-to-day, and we just start using it in the way that we personally begin to use it without this connection. And this concept mirrors the kind of idea of shadow IT, but it's got much higher stakes, because these tools don't just store or move data, they interpret it, they take it, they learn from it, they generate it, and in some instances they act upon it. So this underground, this growth of shadow AI use within organizations, within our own workflows, with the clients that we work with, can cause some real problems. But there's a reason this happens. And this happens with so many new kind of pieces of technology. And what we do as individuals is we turn to kind of things ourselves without, when there isn't this formal kind of connection actually going on, or education or expectation. So one of the reasons that so many people, so many employees, so many individuals have turned to AI on their own comes from these psychological drivers, So the first one is speed and efficiency. So the psychological driver is that we want to lower our cognitive load, And within all roles at the moment, I know for a fact our to-do lists are getting longer and longer, and we have this performance pressure. So individuals are constantly juggling deadlines, meetings, and outputs. When under stress, the brain defaults to reducing that load, and time-saving tools that lower mental effort are a big tick, and it's cognitive offloading. And what we have access to with AI is this invisible co-pilot. We can go, thank you so much, ChatGPT, for sorting that out for me, because that meant I can do X, Y, and Z. And a real incident of this, an issue that comes from this, when there aren't guidelines, kind of information, understanding of what we can do AI-wise. So in early 2023, Amazon employees were found using ChatGPT to draft code and documentation. One employee admitted to using it to write complex internal reports, cutting their time in half. So Amazon saw these benefits, but their IP, their internal data had been fed into this machine that could then, if the right prompt was asked, it could give that information out. Similar thing happened to Samsung and Ericsson. And Amazon then had to warn staff not to put in proprietary data, because leaked examples showed ChatGPT's responses, including confidential code. And why does this matter? Why do we need to understand this when we're talking about AI adoption, AI use, AI compliance? Now AI is here, like it really has entered the chat. And the need to get it done often outweighs compliance concerns in the moment. Especially if the AI output is good and fast, or is useful. We know ChatGPT. If you came to the last one, we know ChatGPT's a little bit dodgy, but the whole thing, the whole reason that individuals, employees, like your family, your friends are turning to AI is because of this cognitive offloading. If this machine can do this for me while I do something else, that is a benefit. And it is a benefit, but without these kind of regulations, these understanding, this education, this is all happening in little silos. People are using it at different rates. People are doing different things with it. And without bringing us all back together within a team, within a workflow, within an organization, this is going to cause problems moving forward. So the next reason is limitations, tool limitations. So the driver, the psychological driver that we have as individuals to turn to something like AI is frustration avoidance and autonomy. So when people feel their tools are slow, rigid, don't support the goals, we seek control. And that aligns with like the self-determination theory where we're wired to seek autonomy and competence. Yeah. So we're always trying to do things better. But if I explain this in a kind of incident that happened very recently, a global consulting firm, you'll be able to find the name if you Google it, junior consultants began using Notion AI to summarize 100+ page client strategy decks because the firm's internal documentation didn't support semantic search or fast summarization. This became a kind of undercurrent thing that people actually started to teach when new people started to come in. And it only became discovered because documents began appearing in external web caches because they didn't set up their Notion to be private. So we were having this issue where they thought they were using this AI system to get like a summarization, really wonderful. But because they didn't recognize or understand how AI was using this, how the platform kind of works, this was then accessible to many people. Yeah, it's not the best. And why does this matter? And when we believe as individuals that things are slowing us down, we find workarounds, and AI offers us glorious workarounds. And AI tools that just work. So the fact that we can go, do this for me, please, in this way, it feeds this desire for independence, even at the cost of visibility. So even though our employees, our team members, our clients don't really know how it actually works, it's still feeding this desire. It's still giving an output. So that's another reason why this undercurrent of shadow AI use is really, really prevalent. And it's a big issue for team leads, for organizations, HR, to kind of deal with. The next one is it's a low barrier to entry. And when I say it's a low barrier to entry, my nan uses it. Yeah, she can't use a remote, but she can chat to ChatGPT on her iPhone. And the psychological driver here is it's instant gratification. We have this process where we get immediate feedback and we have low perceived risk. It's free, it's easy, just one click. All of these lowered friction pieces, yeah? And this taps into this temporal discounting. So the tendency to prioritize immediate benefits over tomorrow Robin's problems. Yeah. So those distant kind of consequences. So if I talk to you about an incident that happened recently, a European HR department unknowingly violated GDPR by using a free AI-powered CV screening tool. Staff member uploaded candidate resumes to speed up shortlisting. The AI provider stored all of that data for AI model training with no clear data processing agreement. The company faced a formal inquiry and had to self-report to the Data Protection kind of authority. So why does this matter? Why am I talking to you about like this low barrier to entry? Well, when access is effortless and the reward is immediate, we don't pause to think about the legal, ethical, or security implications. And that is a huge problem. And the last one is FOMO and curiosity. We are curious cats, and we have this psychological driver of social comparison and innovation pressure. If peers are using AI tools to get ahead, and if you look on anyone's LinkedIn feed, everyone's telling you either AI is bad, or if you don't do AI, someone else is going to like overthrow you who is using AI. We have this pressure to follow suit. And I don't think I go half an hour without seeing something about a rocket emoji or an M dash. Like, it is at the forefront of our minds all the time. And this aligns with that kind of social proof bias, the belief that others are doing it, it must be okay or even expected. If the person sitting next to us in the office is using AI to do X, Y, and Z, why am I not using AI to do X, Y, and Z? And in a fintech startup, a data team leader discovered that half of the team had started using AI-powered Excel plugins like Formula Bot to automate repetitive reporting tasks without disclosing it. Some even shared API key access across personal accounts. No harm was intended. They simply saw competitors bragging about it, probably on LinkedIn, and about how much time they saved with AI. And that's a huge issue with this. Because organizations, teams, agencies, we're not talking about how we're supposed to use AI or expected to use AI. We're just using it. And that causes all of these problems when it comes to management of these systems. So now that AI is here and you can't remove it, it's not going to go away like a lot of people hoped it would. There are big problems. And this matters because curiosity and ambition, they are powerful motivators. Yeah. Especially in high performance culture. So the line between innovative and unauthorized blurs. Yeah, especially when AI tools feel like a competitive edge. So when I talk about shadow AI use, I have done it. Yeah, I have used an AI platform when in reality, it wasn't the right thing to do. Who hasn't? Like, who is using ChatGPT at the moment at work, but they've never had a conversation about if they can, or what they should be putting into these systems? Or how do you standardize it so that all these different people aren't getting different, slightly different answers because of the prompts they're all using are slightly different? So then we have this mismatch of output too. And shadow AI use is not irrational or careless. In general, it is not purposeful. It's driven by these huge human instincts. Yeah. So we want to reduce effort. We want to feel effective. We have this desire. There's a pull of social pressure. And the illusion is that it's easy, it's safe. Yeah. And we need to understand these behaviors because it allows us to design better AI governance, not just tied to controls. If you want transparency and you want safe adoption, you have to have these conversations. And we're not having them. We're not having them quick enough. We're not having the right kind of questions brought up in these spaces. So if I said to you, if I was to ask, this is a very safe space, by the way, but if I was to ask, has everybody here disclosed their AI use, or do you feel like a little bit of a hacker with your hood up in work, using it kind of just to kind of help your own processes, not the organization, that kind of thing? If you are an agency, do you disclose your AI use to your clients? If you are a client and work with a third-party vendor, do you tell them? How many of us are openly discussing what we're actually doing with AI in our day-to-day? Yeah, that's amazing. I would love to hear those conversations, Anchor. I love things like this. But I don't think enough of us are. There are so many instances where I've worked within kind of these different spaces, but in reality, if we don't have a unified understanding of what is expected, like we do when we log into our CRM, like we do when we log into other kind of things that are within many of the processes we work with, then why are we expecting this to be a joint kind of endeavor? Because at the moment, it's incredibly individual. How many brands have you seen disclosing their AI use openly and not just AI generated on Instagram? Not many. Do we think that that comes from a place of fear, shame, those kind of words? What words do you think drive that reasoning that we're not as open about using this technology like we are Salesforce, for example? Like, why is there this kind of mismatch around this kind of space? Why is it not brought to the forefront of HR decisions, onboarding, those kind of things? We're going to have to get to that point. Why are we dragging our feet about it now? That's amazing. Great policies, great training in place. Oh, that makes me so happy. Like, that's such a wonderful thing to read, because I'm worried for those places that don't. So every individual is using AI in their own kind of way, whether it's restricted, allowed, or not. And that is what we're trying to talk about today. AI has now entered the chat. Now what do we do? Yeah, how do we make sure that this is a positive thing for not only our brand, our organization, our clients, but also ourselves? Yeah. So there's some big challenges when it comes to this. AI is integrating into things faster than a lot of us can track. It would be your daily job to check everything, all the updates, everything that's going on in this world. And we adopt new tools independently. Employees adopt new tools independently to try and do that kind of thing. SaaS vendors add these AI capabilities in updates without flagging them, and individual teams run small pilots that never reach kind of leadership or compliance, but all of this bitty AI use is happening in general. And this leads to invisible data movement. So there's data being processed and acted upon that isn't in line with kind of compliance, untracked decision-making influence. An individual who's used AI to come to a conclusion and is not disclosing that takes on that burden of that responsibility. There's legal, ethical, and reputational risk, and all of it is happening under our radars. Yeah, it's happening like with all of these processes that we kind of interact with. And we're most likely asking, what AI tools are our people actually using? Am I compliant with privacy, security, and ethics and standards? How do we provide oversight, or how do I create oversight on my AI use without discouraging innovation or becoming a gatekeeper for this technology? And these are the questions that I'm seeing over and over again, that realistically, now it's here, now it's seeped into all of our kind of processes. What do we do now? How do we ensure we keep moving with this technology without being a kind of existential problem that is just growing and growing like a house of cards, and it will just take one change, one misuse, one kind of individual's use of AI within an organization or a process or an agency that you've built, and that house of cards comes toppling down. So one of the things that is really kind of interesting is this mind shift. So there's a lot of terminology within AI integration and kind of business kind of words that you will see, but one that I will bring into the forefront for you is we want to move from control to collaboration. These individuals that we interact with ourselves, we're going to use AI regardless. Yeah. So the old model where we control through kind of centralized approval, it doesn't work here. Yeah. So for decades, tech governance has worked through a really relatively linear model. We need this. We tell the person that pays for things that we need something to do this. The tool is checked, it's vetted, it's secured, it's then integrated. Usage is monitored and policy is enforced. This worked fine for traditional software and infrastructure. It was predictable. Very, very predictable. We have clear vendor relationships. It was visible. We knew where it was integrated. It was contained, so it was within networks, within devices and approval layers. Yeah. And that was great. It's worked. But AI isn't like traditional software. None of this has followed a traditional adoption, integration, access model. So we can't do this. We can't now kind of go back and be like, our team likes to use ChatGPT. They've all got their own personal subscription. Has it been vetted? Well, we can go on what ChatGPT say that, okay, what data do they have access to? Well, we can't see what data is being put through because it's all personal. It's run by their own subscriptions. So it's not the same. We can't do it in the same way, right? And then when Microsoft decide to bring in like Gemini or like these kind of co-pilots and things, that wasn't our choice. It just was given to us. We had access to it all of a sudden, and we started to use it all of a sudden. So we've got to go from control to collaboration. But AI doesn't lend itself to traditional control. And the reasons are, and this is, I want to talk about this because this will help you to create the correct kind of governance, or even just attempt to try and understand what governance you need. And that is because AI is embedded. It is not necessarily acquired. It's a feature. It's not a product on its own. So you know that linear model where we're like, I want, say, LLM. Like, you can't follow that like this because it's become a feature of so many things we already have access to. We don't just buy AI anymore. You wake up one morning and your tools have got added AI. Google Docs added Smart Compose, Slack releases AI summary, Microsoft 365 rolls out Copilot to all users in a tenant, for example. And these updates are bypassing procurement, and they're not triggering these traditional workflows. And because of these processes are incremental, they're not new platforms, it enters the ecosystem almost silently. Yeah. And we can't gatekeep what we can't see and what we can't remove access to. It's not like I'm going to be like, oh, Microsoft 365 rolls out Copilot, let's remove Microsoft. Like, it doesn't work like that. It can't work that way. So we have to think about it totally differently because AI is embedded. It is not just acquired. And another issue, another kind of thing why AI doesn't lend itself to traditional control, and that is because it's decentralized by nature. So in the age of SaaS and cloud, we're used to solving problems independently. Yeah. And AI tools like ChatGPT, Cloud, Midjourney, and Notion AI, they're browser-based. They're freemium or low cost. There's no install or no login, no specific tech understanding. So anyone with a browser and a deadline and a task can start experimenting. Yeah. There are no technical gatekeepers. And culturally, employees, for example, we expect autonomy in our tech stack. So because like working from home, we work on an individual laptop, there's this kind of like expectation that if we have access to it, we can use it. And maybe that needs to change. So this decentralization is quite hard to manage. And when we look at kind of AI use cases, they're exploratory. With traditional tools, you know what you're using them for. Your CRM, your finance systems, your design, your Adobe, your email. With AI, the use case often isn't clear until someone tries it. There's not this education that we've had for years, or there's corporate embedding. So we ask it things like, can this tool write code for me? And then we try it. And if it does it, great. If it doesn't, we ask it again in a different way. What happens if I paste a contract in and ask it to summarize? Will this generate content good enough for a draft? This policy lag behind practice because governance assumes clarity while AI thrives in ambiguity. So what I want you to kind of think about today is, how do we start to kind of and capture this kind of ambiguity in this kind of platform? And another issue is that AI is integrated and touches sensitive workflows. It's not just making life easier. Yeah, AI is not just a kind of process that makes things easier. It's making decisions, it's generating insights, it's creating content that affects real world outcomes. Yeah. So this raises complex questions that we don't have with normal tech, which is accountability. Who is responsible for AI generated work? IP ownership. Is that code really yours, or is it pinched a little bit from like Amazon, who uploads it in 2023? The bias and the fairness. So how was that insight generated? Can you explain to me how ChatGPT creates an answer for you? Traditional compliance can't answer these in real time. And the fact that we have access to this technology, we're not going to wait for it because we don't know we need to wait for it. We don't know kind of the issues with what we're doing. If I was to ask those like here today, can you truly explain to me how the AI systems that you interact with, you put data in, you connect to, you prompt from, how they generate the answer that you are basing your next move upon? I'm going to have a dramatic sip of my water while I wait for an answer to that one. The answer is probably not. Yep, no clue. But we're trusting these systems. But GDPR, if we look at the base kind of understanding of GDPR, we need to explain how our data is being used. So if you can't explain how the data that you've input into these systems is being used to generate an answer, that is in essence non-compliant. So there's this kind of misunderstanding around the tech as well. So we want to be building this visibility of AI use, understanding and kind of acceptance. Yeah. But we don't want to slow down because a lot of compliance people go, oh, that's going to be meeting after meeting, that's going to be training after training, that's going to be kind of putting a box around this until we understand it. But it doesn't have to be that way, because AI adoption is no longer optional. It's already happening within every layer of an organization, your own business, the internet, the things that we connect with. But there is a paradox. So AI helps teams move faster, work smarter, and innovate. But untracked AI use introduces big risks, compliant issues, and ethical gray zones. When you don't know what AI is being used where or by whom, we're operating kind of blind in 4 critical areas which really impact organizations and our own organizations and our own businesses. The first is data security. Who's inputting what into third-party systems? If you have a quick think back, like after me talking today, are you like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have put that into ChatGPT without my employer knowing? I probably shouldn't have put that client piece of information into this without kind of understanding this a bit more. The answer is probably going to be yes. So who's inputting what into what system? We then have an issue of compliance and regulation. Are we violating GDPR, HIPAA, or internal data standards? Probably in some aspects at the moment. There's a big reputation risk. So what happens when AI generated outputs are biased, wrong, or misleading? Duplication waste. Are teams all testing the same tools in isolation? So are you all sat like in whatever your working environment is, all using ChatGPT, for example, or Copilot, but still getting the different things out because you're not unifying the way that it's being used within an organization? And a lot of missed opportunities happen there because one person cracks it and 4 or 5 don't, for example. So when I talk about visibility on AI use within your own processes, the business you've built, or the organizations you work for, it's not actually about surveillance. Yeah, it's about creating a shared real-time understanding of actually what is happening so leaders can lead and innovators can innovate, but safely with people understanding what you're actually doing and how you're doing it, right? So let's have a look at some of the ways we can actually do that. So the one thing that people are still failing to do is to normalize AI disclosure in everyday processes. When AI experimentation is hidden, we lose visibility. Teams miss out on shared learning, and the risk is always below the surface of everything that's kind of happening. But when we feel safe and encouraged to disclose AI usage, it builds a culture of trust and transparency, early warning systems so we can understand where the risky tools are, for example, or risky behaviors such as inputting data that shouldn't be put in to these kind of systems. Knowledge base, everybody starts to learn how to use these systems more effectively. And again, it's not about control, it's about unlocking that connection. So how do we make AI disclosure a normal part of the workflow? Does anybody already do this? Does anybody already integrate AI into your normal workflow incredibly transparently? If so, let me know how, because it's great to see how other people are doing it. But what some of the ways that I've seen work really well and are suggested to try and encourage this kind of disclosure is to add it into kind of team retrospectives or project reviews. So add an AI related question to the regular kind of retros, like, did you use AI to help us accelerate or improve anything in this project? Was there a tool or workflow that we tried that others should know about? And just collect it. We're not putting people on blast for this as well. So it needs to be done in a way that doesn't make people feel like a naughty schoolgirl or schoolboy, like being outed for having like their answers on the inside of their calculator case. We don't want that. What we're trying to do is provide this opportunity to go, yeah, I used this and it was really great. So we can just start to understand. The next one is employee onboarding. So during the onboarding, provide a list of approved and in review AI tools, a link to your internal AI registry, your log, clear guidance on how and when to share tools that they try, and have really good cultural signal here. So we expect innovation. If you find tools that help you work smarter, we want to know. And then if it's not something that should be used, what is your process to discuss that? How do you manage that? And how do you explain to that person, okay, that's a great tool, but it doesn't have relevance here, and this is why. In your one-on-one, your meetings, any tools that you found useful lately, what's made your workflow easier, and employees often experiment quietly. So a one-on-one is a great environment to surface those too. And also celebrate your AI wins. I'm in so many Slack channels now where I've started an AI use cases channel or an AI experiments channel, and we just talk about it. What are the cool prompts you're using? What are the creative applications? And we're just creating this positive discussion. And we're framing disclosure. I mean, that sounds like such a horrible term, doesn't it? Disclosure of use. But we're framing it as part of the shared learning journey. And that is the difference here. Avoid language like reporting or violations. Use words like share, let's learn, spot the good, that kind of thing. Add in kind of AI to your meetings, kind of your wrap-up forms, anything like that where AI could be useful, add it in. And make disclosure visible and useful. So keep a dashboard of this kind of process and see what we can kind of do. That's a very good question, Violet, and I will answer that at the end. If I forget, please nudge me again to answer that. So the next thing is create an internal registry. Yeah, so we have a registry of what tools we use, how we're supposed to use it. We have employee handbooks on our kind of processes. Why aren't we doing it for this? So what tools are active across teams? Where is sensitive data stored? Where is it connected to? Where shouldn't it go? Yeah, you can't be copying this and put it in your own personal ChatGPT subscription, but here's the business one. You can have a login here. And when we talk about this, try and avoid a traditional approval first system, because that'll create bottlenecks. Everyone's using it individually anyway. And an AI registry flips this model because we're inviting transparency. It surfaces value and risk easily. It builds a shared map of AI adoption across the business. So use a tool that your team already knows, Notion, Airtable. Keep it short, simple, and useful. Do like a 2-minute form maybe. So your name, what tool, what you're using it for, what data is involved, those kind of things. And also we need to keep this alive and useful. So assign people to do it. Check in with people, give it them as a task. Yeah. And we're trying to spot innovation early. What is a great tool that someone's found? We can kind of bring it in, and we're building this shared knowledge. This is not a security form or an approval barrier. Yeah, don't bury it in weird systems, make it accessible, and don't ask for too much detail. You can always follow up with those kind of things. It's not a reporting system, it's a discovery log. Help us learn. This isn't for approval, it's time to make smart decisions, those kind of good terminology. Because we're building this living map of AI across the organization, and also see who is really at the forefront of this, because they are going to be the ones that innovate and change your workflows for the better. They're going to discover the things that they think is missing to be able to move forward. And I want you to also think about creating an AI use principle document instead of an overly strict policy, because strict AI policies have one of two effects and they're not great. They arrive too late, so the AI adoption has already happened, or they're so rigid that employees either ignore them or hide their behavior. So we want this lightweight, value-driven framework that empowers employees to make smart, ethical decisions in fast-moving environments. And I also want you to start educating. Explain how AI works and why it helps prevent risky kind of behavior when you understand. Because many employees don't even realize what happens when they use tools like ChatGPT, Cloud, or other third-party generative platforms. To them, it feels like a smarter Google. Like, we're just putting stuff into Google. Yeah, we're just asking questions. But that illusion of privacy and individuality and lack of education is what leads people to paste confidential emails, source code, legal contracts into tools they don't control or don't understand how they work. So when they understand how these tools work, what happens under the hood, they're far more likely to act responsibly. So give them kind of how these tools work, where they need to start logging this information, and all those kind of things. And then we're just trying to get people to think twice before pasting internal content into a chatbot. They start asking, where is this data going, or who can see this? And they treat AI tools like external collaborators, not like a private notebook. Yeah, that's what I've heard some people call it. They think it's this private space that is contained for them. No AI platform is like that. Yeah. And then we're promoting this better self-regulation than if we're just told, don't do that. Yeah, because there's no understanding of why we can't do X, Y, and Z. So I hope that today has kind of given you some places to start with this governance and how we need to change that mindset between these different spaces. And I'll just very quickly answer this question by Violet. So Violet said, I've talked about collaboration in terms of thinking about how AI is integrated. How do you recommend collaboration between HR and digital or compliance or other teams? The best process that I have seen for this kind of connection, where often tech and expectations are disconnected within an organization between these teams, is transparency. So an AI use log, you could separate that into departments. You could have meetings that are just to talk or to showcase how are you using it, how we can benefit, because none of this is to shame. Realistically, is to just bring it to light, so then the organization, we as individuals, our clients, can then decide to act on our AI kind of use. So the first thing I would do is to create something like an audit, so you know what's going on within your tech anyway, and then start talking to those within the teams, and then bringing together on a really positive note to share this AI use and decide what the organization will do moving forward, how you will begin to govern those kind of situations moving forward. And it's not comfortable at first. Traditionally, sometimes those departments don't have the best kind of sharing going on. But I think this type of technology is so integrated in so many spaces. We're going to have to start having those kind of little bit of an awkward kind of questions, realistically. And then I just wanted to share that we have a Slack channel where we talk about all these kind of different bits and bobs about AI governance, marketing technology, and it's totally free to join. And I pop all the slides and notes and things in there as well as the portal. But thank you. Thank you for joining me today.
Hello, everyone. Well, it was great. It was an interesting session, very relevant, I think, to any industry. Oh, let's see. I'm sure we've got a few questions, a few bits. Oh no, it's been lovely having you on, Violet, as well as Anka, Liz. It's great. Lovely to see all the questions as well being popped in recently as well. I have popped a few bits in the chat, so just in case if anyone's interested in upskilling in AI, we offer a course which is the AI practitioner, and essentially what that works is how it works is that you cover a broad sweep of topics, and you get a qualification at the end that you can stick on your CV as well as your LinkedIn to show employers that you are, very current and up to date with everything that's happening with the technology. We also have a AI in marketing module as well that you can do, and that would be accredited by the CIM, and you would also get an accreditation and a formalized certificate of completion from the CIM directly. Thank you, Tyrone. It's great to have you on. We look forward to you attending more sessions in the future. In the future, just in case if anyone wasn't aware, we will be changing the times for the OXP exchange. So bear with me. It's likely that the next session will be starting at 2. Is that correct, Robin?
Let me just check if AI washing is the next one. So
Well,
let me check if that time is. I think so. Yes. Yes.
no worries.
Yeah, it's from
Yes.
2 weeks from now. We move to just after lunchtime.
Okay, perfect. From 2 weeks from now. So for the next one.
Yes.
So that will be
from AI
perfect.
washing. Yeah.
Perfect. I'll have that. Yes, that's great. So we'll be switching over to 2 o'clock. So hopefully we don't miss you guys. It'll be slightly after lunch, but fingers crossed that you all will be able to attend. But yeah, if you do have any questions regarding anything covered today or any of our courses, you can just drop me an email as well at inquiries@oxfordpeg.com, and it would be lovely to chat. Or we can always schedule a one-to-one consultation. What that looks like is essentially as a private chat with me or a member of my team, and we can go through anything that's on your mind in relation to our courses. But yeah, it's been great to be on today with you, Robin.
Thank you. Yeah, this topic is going to be something that we probably come back to in like 4 or 5 weeks time, where there's something we now need to do, but it's good to just start building this in and having those
Definitely.
much better conversations, I think.
Definitely. I know it's useful for my organization as well, so we'll definitely be incorporating some of your advice.
Great. I'd love to know how that goes.
Definitely. But yeah, otherwise, if there's no more questions, thank you, Mehda, as well. We'll be wrapping up for today.
Thank you.